smells slow and sour when it blows.
No birds ever sing, excepting old crows.
It's the street of the lifted Lorax, and deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you could still see today, where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could.
Before some people lifted the Lorax away.
What was the Lorax? And why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere from the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows?
The old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows.
You won't see the Onceler, don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store.
He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He stays in his lurkum, cold under the floor, where he makes his own clothes such as Miff Mufford Moof.
On special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks on how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you perhaps, if you're willing to pay.
On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents in a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes the most careful count, to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, a secret strange hole in his grovelous glove. Then he grunts.
I will call you by whispering a phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone.
Slop down slops, the whispers are phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear.
Since they have to come down through snarkly holes.
Since they have to come down through a snellogy hose. And he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose.
Now I'll tell you, he said, with his teeth sounding grey, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back.
Such a long, long time back.
Way back in the day, when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet.
And the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swami swan still rang out in space.
One morning, I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees.
The coconut trees!
The bright-colored tops of
the coconut trees!
Mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees, I saw
brown balloons
frisking about in there
balloons
as they played in the shade and ate
coconut fruits.
From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around.
Those truffle nuts. Oh, my Wi-Fi searching for Sesame Street with these.
Where are you taking the branch to? The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the fresh smell of soft butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what to do. I unloaded my cart.
I did no time at all. I built a small shop. And I chopped down a truffle tree with one chop.
And with great skillful skill, and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed.
The instant I had finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I'd chopped down.
It was sort of a man. Describe him, that's hard. I don't know if I can.
He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy. And he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy.
Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze.
I speak for the trees, but the trees have no tongue.
I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He said, very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's the thing you've made out of my truffle a tuft? Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree, I'm doing no harm.
I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed.
A thread is a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt. It's a sock. It's a glove. It's a hat.
But it has other uses, just far beyond that.
You can use it for carpets.
For pillows, for sheets.
Or curtains.
Or covers of bicycle seats.
The Lorax said, crazy was doing.
There is no one on earth who would buy that fourth need.
But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong, for just at that moment, the chap came along.
And he thought the need I had needed was great.
And he happily bought it for $3.98. And I laughed at the Lorax. You poor stupid guy.
You never can tell what some people will buy.
I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up if you please. I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on all my brothers and uncles and aunts and I said, listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, turn right at South Stitch.
In no time at all in the factory I built,
the whole Onceler family was working full tilt.
we were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees.
To the sound of the chopping truffle trees. Then, baby, oh baby, how my business did grow. Now, chopping one tree at a time was too slow.
So I can't get my sugar.
But whacked off 4 truffle trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before.
And that Lorax didn't show up anymore.
And that Lorax. He didn't show up anymore.
But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped.
I am the Lorax, who speak for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as soon as you please.
But I'm also in charge of the brown Barbaloots, who played in the shade in their Barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffle fruits.
Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle fruit to go around.
And my poor Barbaloots are all getting their crummies. Because they have gas and no food in their tummies.
Nano.
They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may.
Good luck, boys, he cried and sent them away.
I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know.
I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got.
I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering.
Selling more thneeds.
And I biggered my money, which everyone needs.
Then again he came back, I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes.
I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargled, he sniffed.
Onceler, he cried with a crofulous croak. Onceler, you're making such smuggless smoke.
My first one is one.
They can't sing a note.
No one can sing.
When they have smog in their throat.
And so, said the Lorax,
Please, pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know.
Well, they may have to fly for a month or a year. Escape from the smog you've smoked up around here.
What's more, snapped the Lorax. His dander was up.
Let me say a few words about Gluppity Glup.
Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop.
Making Gluppity Glup, also Schluppity Schlupp.
And what do you do with this leftover goo?
I'll show you, you Onceler man, you.
You are glumping the pond where the humming fish hum. No more they can hum, for their gills are all gummed.
So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary.
Then I got mad! I got terribly mad!
I yelled at the Lorax. Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad!
Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you.
I intend to go on just doing what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring.
I'm figuring.
I'm figuring.
I'm figuring.
I'm figuring.
I'm figuring!
I'm figuring.
And biggering. And biggering. Turning more truffle trees into the needs. Which everyone needs.
And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall. The very last truffle tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done.
So in no time, my uncles and aunts,
Everyone.
All wave the goodbye.
They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars.
Now all that was left beneath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax and I.
The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants.
And I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place.
Through a hole in the smoke, without a living or trace.
And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless.
Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess.
That was long, long ago. With each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away.
Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart.
But now, says a Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear.
Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.
So,
Catch, said the Onceler. He let something fall.
He let something fall. It's a truffle seed.
It's a chocolate.
It's the last one of all.
It's the last one of all.
in charge of the last of the truffula seeds.
And truffula trees are what everyone needs.
Treat it with care.
Money.
Someone like you. Someone like you. Someone like you.
Grow a forest protected from axes that hack.
Protected from axes that hack.
Then the Lorax and all of its friends may come back. Then the Lorax and all of its friends may come back.